In this week's Commoner video, I'm breaking down my buddy Sean's Go Tall Commoner deck build. So join me as we talk Earthlore Surges, Bramble Sparks, and big attacks that throw a ping or two along the side. Do you feel it? Because I do. There's a stirring in my wildwood. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hey there, Flesh and Blood folks. Welcome back to Dice Commando and Go Again, a fabulous cast for this week's Commoner video. Now, you may have noticed there was no Commoner deck tech last week, but that's because we had, that's right, count them, 4 videos live play from our Armory tournament that we ran at Gunga Games. That was a Commoner tournament, so you got all sorts of Commoner gameplay. Now, I did not end up winning that. I went 3-1 on Bravo, lost in the final. All those are up. You can go check it out. And that's right, I do think it's about time that I maybe revisit that tier list, because I think Icelander with the new barraging type build is might be tier S. Might be tier S. So trickle down is a real thing. But yes, tonight we are talking Briar, specifically the Go Tall Briar build that has been making waves, at least in our local Commoner. Now, traditionally when we've talked about Briar in Commoner, especially because she came out very, very strong early on, right, with, you know, Ball Lightning and Minnowism and Belittle and the whole shebang, right? I mean, she was S, super S tier, whatever above S tier, that's what she was, right? So traditionally that has carried, I mean, and it makes sense. You do a thing, you Rosetta Thorn, you do some things in the middle. It makes sense. You just kind of puke your hand, go for it. You win or you lose. It's Commoner, you have a beer, right? But recently, Sean has developed this list. He did quite well at the last Commoner Crawl with it. By the way, next Commoner Crawl is coming here in a couple of weeks. See the info right there, getting that flyer up and out. So come join us if you are in the Portland-ish area. It's worth driving for because it's always at a brewery. And again, it's where the beer bracket is the winner. But like I said, so he did quite well at the last Commoner Crawl. And then Adam, also one of our local Briar guys, has also been on this deck, but he developed it independently. Now, it would be interesting to look at their list side by side and see how they look. I'd imagine they're relatively similar. I mean, it's Commoner. There's not that many cards, and, you know, some of them are a little better than the others. But so what you see right now is Sean's list. He's given us the thumbs up. Again, thank you, Sean, for sharing this with us. The original plan was that Sean and I were going to go do this together, but, you know, we both have kids and life gets in the way, and, you know, schedules, you got to get videos out, right? So thank you again, Sean. So just going top down, right, weapons or Rosetta Thorn, that's a shocker, right? Equipment, either Iron Reeve. Can you believe that is a common? That's a fantastic freaking common. Crown of Dichotomy, that's got the AB. Goliath Gauntlet and Cross Strap, of course. And then he has Iron Rock Gauntlet, Helm and Legs, and then Nullrune Boots, Gloves, and Hood to round out his suite. For his reds, he has Autumn's Touch. It's a nice little attack. Also, it's an Earth, right? Bramble Spark. So just to be clear, we do have Bramble Spark, Rainbow. No surprise there. You love the blue for paying, you love the red for attacking, and the yellow will do in a pinch. Break Ground, Burgeoning, Come to Fight. What a fantastic non-attack for a Rosetta deck. It also defends for 3. That's what makes it so darn good. 2 Earthlore Surges, 2 Electrifies, 2 Entwine Earths, 2 Scar for Scars, 2 Shrill of Skull Forms. Now, do note in Briar that you either have had to have pinged, right, basically with a Bramble to create your token, to create your aura, or you will have had to basically double non-attack into it to create your aura, but it's still very, very threatening. And then Stir the Wildwood, the kind of the joke of the video. Into yellows, not too much crack an egg there. The Entwine Earth yellow is a recent ad he had that he brought to the last Commoner, it was not in the Commoner Crawl, and then it was in the Armory at Gongai that he did, because he actually was shooting out. I was like, hey, does anybody have an Entwine Earth for us to play? So those are recent ads, and they seem to make sense, right? then going into blues, Autumn Touch, Bramble Spark, Breakground, Burgeoning, Earthlord Surge, and then Electrifies, right? The Electrify, the Bramble Spark make total sense for what they're trying to do. They're fantastic blues because they still do the thing in the pinch. And then the rest is really just your fuse fodder. So, to be fair, when you look at this list, there's, it kind of makes, like if you were to sit down just kind of in your head and just kind of puke out on the table what you thought you were going to include, like 85-90% of this is kind of a build itself. So it's really more of the strategy in playing this. And I had the opportunity to play against Sean. He demolished me, right? I was playing my Prism and it did not go well, as you can imagine, with the poppers. But I also watched him finish up a couple other games. And he really did rely very much on his arsenal in certain cases, of course. But his arsenal to set up the double non-attack to get the Lightning Surge token. So he's really very dependent upon getting the Lightning Surge out in order to actually swing with Rosetta. And, in most cases, in Commoner, if you're Earthlore surging, or even come to fighting into one of these big attacks, that's a lot, right? 20 health, pseudo-efficient less efficient format. It does the thing. So it's a very, very strong deck. It doesn't necessarily, quote-unquote, feel as good. I grant you when you're like throwing out a bunch of attacks. But I do have to say, after playing Bravo for as long as I've played him for the last couple of times, throwing big stuff across the table forces responses in that format, right? So people are usually playing their sinks and stuff like that. But it's still, if they've got them in their hand, they put them in their arsenal. It costs them a little bit to do that, and you've got constant pressure on, right? And that Shrill Skull form is no joke. One thing I think that you could potentially play with in here is Blue Shrill. The drawback there, of course, being that you kind of need the Earth Fuse for Bramble, because coming at people with multiple ways to threaten damage and get your own aura is pretty darn strong. But you gotta get. Well, you don't have to get the fuse on Bramble for the ping, but you do have to get the fuse on Bramble for the plus. So make sure you got your fuse in hand. But yeah, overall, I'd say very good players on Briar have been using this deck. So put it together, give it a shot, and have some fun with it. So either way, thanks for joining us for this week's Commoner video. Thanks again, Sean, for sharing your list with us. If nothing else, folks, go Commando.